Allow at least 4 hours after a heavy meal, 2 hours after a light meal, and half an hour after a cup of tea or glass of fruit juice. Do not eat directly after exercising, but wait at least half an hour. Be sure that nothing you wear fits tightly or restricts your movement in any way. After practicing UDDIYANI for 2 or 3 days, try the abdominal lift. Stand feet apart, inhale deeply and use force to expel as much air from the lungs as possible. Without inhaling again, repeat the same upward and backward pull of the abdominal muscles as though trying to make as large a hollow as possible under the ribs. And this time keep your muscles pulled in. Place your hands, palms down, on your thighs, bend your knees a little and then slightly tip your trunk forward but without lowering it. You will find that your diaphragm then rises easily. Do keep your hands pressed firmly against your thighs when leaning on them. I have demonstrated the correct position in figure 9, page 39. Stay in this position for as long as you can without breathing and then relax. Repeat this exercise once more as it should not be overdone at first. I reiterate the warning about strain, that there should be none whatsoever while performing this exercise. Muscular control can only be gained by constant practice and not by forcing flabby or rigid muscles into sudden, unaccustomed activity. Very gradually increase the number of times you do this exercise, adding 1 abdominal lift each week until you are doing it 7 times a day. At the same time, try to increase the number of seconds you hold this position without breathing until you can hold it comfortably for 10 seconds. If, when you first attempt the abdominal lift, you feel that 10 seconds is an absolute impossibility, let me assure you that it can be done with perfect ease after careful practice. Make sure that you are pulling in your abdominal muscles properly. You can either feel the hollow under your ribs with your hand or, better still, do the exercise in front of a mirror which has been tilted slightly backwards so that when you bend your trunk forward you will be able to see properly. Be sure not to bend your knees too much. And a word of warning. The abdominal lift should not be attempted by anyone suffering from heart, circulatory, or abdominal troubles. If you find that the practice of UDDIYANI or the abdominal lift is too strenuous for you in a standing position, you may perform them sitting down in one of the classical poses described in Chapter 6. The easy pose or the Gupasana are recommended. Chronic sufferers from constipation will benefit from the following internal cleansing method which is used by the yogis. Internal purification is as important, if not more so, as external cleanliness. Take several glasses of water with 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt per glass. The water must be at room temperature, never iced. Then do the contracting and relaxing movements, Uddiyani, while standing feet apart, then sitting on the floor with the spine straight, and finally while lying flat on the floor. This is known as the avalanche technique of taking an enema without any apparatus. I have already discussed the importance of breathing in relation to health, and each yoga breathing exercise performs a different function in the body. Let us then consider a breathing exercise which will help to combat constipation and in addition will cleanse the lungs and the bronchial passages. It is called the bellows breath, or in Sanskrit, Bhastrika. You have a choice of 3 positions for this exercise and you may adopt the one which you find most comfortable. You may either A. sit down cross-legged on the floor, B. sit on your heels, or C. sit on a hard chair with your feet on the floor close together. I need hardly say that whatever position you adopt, the spine must be held erect. Not only in yoga but always should the spine be straight whether you are sitting, standing or lying. Apart from your appearance, your health will improve as well. Bellows breath. 1. Sit down in your chosen position, rest your hands on your thighs, and look straight ahead. First, empty your lungs by bending your body forward to aid this action. Take a deep, slow breath through your nose and at the same time straighten your body gradually until you are in the starting position. Complete your inhalation and as soon as your lungs are completely filled, expel the air through your mouth with force, bending your body forward once again. Without a pause, the next intake of air follows at once and the whole process is repeated 4 times. When you can perform the bellows breath 4 times without the slightest discomfort, you may hold your breath for a few seconds every 4th intake of breath. When you can perform this exercise more than 4 times, you know you are on the way to the breathing control which will be so beneficial to your health and spirits. I mention the word discomfort because if you are not used to deep breathing, this, and indeed any other yoga breathing exercise, might cause a slight dizziness, which is a sure indication of how undernourished the blood is with oxygen. The dizziness will soon wear off, but do not continue the exercise if any discomfort is felt. Lie down flat on the floor and close your eyes, leaving the exercise until the following day. Increase the number of bellows breaths you take until you are performing the exercise 12 times, and remember to hold your breath after every fourth inhalation. This exercise stimulates the circulation of the blood, increases the flow of prana or life energy, and, by increased oxygenization of the blood, the nerves are purified. And most important of all to sufferers from constipation, the bending forward and straightening up action of the exercise massages the internal organs and the viscera, thus promoting digestion and evacuation. Squatting pose. This pose is exactly what its name implies. One want you to practice squatting like the people of the Orient do. They feel more comfortable in this simple position than they would sitting on a chair. You though may not, and especially at first, find it at all comfortable, but as an exercise for constipation it has few equals. The method is simple. Stand up straight with your feet about 12 inches apart. Inhale deeply and rise on your toes. Complete your inhalation and begin to exhale immediately at the same time as you slowly bend your knees until you are sitting on your heels. Hold the position for as long as you comfortably can and then, without inhaling slowly, rise to your feet. Then take a deep breath and repeat up to 4 times. Practice this simple squatting pose for a few days and then try this slightly more difficult version. Proceed as above, but this time do not raise your heels from the ground. Bend your body forward as you squat so that you do not overbalance, and bring your hands and arms forward over your knees so that your fingers touch the floor. The third version of the squatting pose is even more difficult, but with careful practice you will soon be able to do it. Proceed as for version 2, but this time keep your feet close together without raising your heels off the ground. You may wish to perform the 3 variations of this exercise, and if so you should repeat each one twice. If you do only one, repeat it 6 times and do remember your breathing carefully. If your knees are stiff or you are afraid of overbalancing, you may steady yourself by holding onto a chair or anything convenient that will support your weight until you feel more confident. After performing this exercise, lie down on your back, stretch out your legs with your feet together, and relax for a few moments. And now for an exercise which has an intriguing strangeness about it. It is called yogamudra, and I have demonstrated it in figure 10. As you can see, it has an appearance of supplication about it, and indeed, in the higher stages of yoga the spiritual value of this asana cannot be overemphasized. In some cases advanced yogis hold this pose for an hour or more to help the awakening of the mysterious kundalini, a serpent power which I have already mentioned. But we are concerned, in this chapter, with constipation, and yogamudra, by increasing the peristaltic movement of the bowel, promotes internal purification. It also tones and strengthens the abdominal muscles, the colon, and the pelvic region, and so it is a very valuable and health-giving posture indeed. There is an easy version for beginners, but I will describe the classical one first. Sit down in the lotus pose, which I have described in Chapter 6. With your hands behind your back, clasp the right wrist with the left hand or vice versa. Bend forward until your head touches the floor between your knees and remain so for as long as you find comfortable. When you are ready to straighten up, do so very slowly and remain seated for a few moments with your back straight. You will experience a curiously light and peaceful sensation, as though you had just awakened from a peaceful dream. But I can hear many of my readers protesting that the exercise I have just described is impossible. You can neither get into the lotus pose nor hope to reach the floor with your head. Very well, try this easier variation. Sit down cross-legged on the floor, tailor fashion. This is the easy pose. Double your fists and place them firmly on either side of your navel. Now bend forward as before until your head touches the ground as near to your knees as you can. Your fists will impart a healthy massage to your abdominal organs, just as, in the classical yoga mudra, the upturned heels do likewise. Yoga mudra should be regarded not only as a powerful exercise to promote better elimination but also as an exercise in the calming of the mind. While your head is on the floor, and you will achieve this with patient practice, you should keep your eyes closed and try to empty your mind of all worries and fears. Practice repose and soon it will become a habit. The following exercise should also be practiced for the relief or prevention of constipation and or indigestion. It should present little or no difficulty to the beginner, though perfecting it might take a little patience. Called the Janu Shirshasana, or in English the head to knee pose, it tones up sluggish bowels, strengthens the legs, and adds to your energy and vitality. 1. Sit down on the floor, both legs stretched out. Bend the left knee and place the left foot as high up as possible against the right thigh. 1. Inhale deeply, slightly raise your body from the waist upwards to pull in your stomach, and complete your inhalation. While exhaling, bend slowly forward and get hold of your extended right foot with both hands. The forehead should touch the right knee. Remain in this position for as long as you comfortably can, which will be only a second or two at first, and then straighten up, at the same time straightening out your left leg. Repeat with the same leg and then change legs and repeat, twice bending your head towards the other knee. For the ambitious among you, here is a slightly more difficult variation of this beneficial posture. Instead of placing your foot against the opposite thigh, place it over the thigh, afterwards bending the head towards the knee as before. I have demonstrated this position in figure 11, page 49. At first, many of you will find it difficult to reach your outstretched foot with your hands. This is because your spine has lost some of its flexibility, or your abdomen, dare I whisper, it may have grown too large. Once you are limbered up, you will find little difficulty, and meanwhile I suggest you simply get hold of your calves, ankles or toes while bending your head towards your knee. If your knee appears to be an impossible distance away from your head, I do assure you that with patient practice you will be able to do it with ease. When you can perform the head to knee posture with ease, you can graduate to a slightly more difficult variation in which the foot is placed on the thighs above and the corresponding arm is placed right round the body to impart an extra pull to the muscles of the back, thus. Variation of head to knee posture 1. Sit down on the floor with your legs stretched out. Place the right foot on the left thigh, as near to the body as possible. Stretch forward your left hand and grasp the toes of your left foot. Place your head on your left knee. Keeping your head on your knee, reach your right arm. Round the back of your body and try to grasp the toes of your right foot, which is on the left thigh. Remain thus for as long as you find comfortable and without straining, and then straighten up, lie flat on the floor and relax, taking a few deep recovery breaths. If you find you can do this variation, you might like to omit the simpler head to knee posture in favor of this one, as the benefits of the asana are greatly enhanced by the added stretch to die muscles of the back and shoulders. Yet another variation of the head to knee posture requires a little more flexibility, and should not be attempted until you can perform the above variation with ease. Variation of head to knee posture. Sit down on the floor as before and place your right foot against your left thigh, as near to the body as possible. Lift your left leg straight up and catch the foot firmly in both hands. Your leg should be perpendicular to the floor. Incline your head slightly until your face touches the knee of your raised leg. Hold this position for as long as you can and then repeat with the other leg. You may perform this variation up to 6 times, 3 for each leg. It will take time and patient practice to perfect, but it is well worth the extra effort, as it will give an invigorating pull to the sciatic nerve as well as imparting the other benefits of the posture. And now for something more spectacular. This is a colorful yoga asana requiring flexibility and concentration. Called the Akarna Dhanurasana, or in English the bow and arrow posture, it will strengthen flabby abdominal muscles, thereby promoting better elimination, and will also limber up the joints of the hips, legs and shoulders. Method. Sit down on the floor with your legs stretched out. Bend your right knee until your right foot is over your left thigh. Grasp the right foot with the left hand to hold it in position while you raise your left elbow while drawing your right foot up to touch your left ear. Your body now resembles a bow and drawn arrow. Look in the mirror while you perform it and you will see it is rather a dramatic looking pose, deserving of its name, and certainly the benefits of it are dramatic too. Hold the pose for as long as you comfortably can and then return to the starting position. You may perform the bow and arrow posture up to 4 times, but please do not impart any strain to your muscles. You may hurt yourself and achieve nothing, so do go carefully. Sufferers from both constipation and indigestion would do well to follow the water drinking habits of the yogis. Next to air, water is one of the bodily supplies most urgently demanded by nature. 8/10 of our physical body consist of water and about 2 quarts a day are eliminated. An insufficient intake of water is very often responsible for constipation, a congested colon, and malfunction of the liver and kidneys. Drink a glass of fresh water at room temperature first thing in the morning and last thing at night. It should be taken hot only when your constipation is of long standing or persistently troublesome, in which case unsweetened lime or lemon juice may be added to make it more palatable. Water which has been boiled or processed often loses some of its vitality, and to restore this pass it through the air, pouring it from one glass to the other, as this will prove more beneficial than drinking devitalized water. Drink from 6 to 8 glasses of water a day, or 1 glass for every 14 pounds of your body weight. And remember that one of the greatest crimes in the Black Book of Bad Health is the drinking of iced water, or indeed any other iced beverage. Never drink anything straight from the refrigerator, no matter how pleasant you may think it is. Your health is more important than a few moments' pleasure tea you think. Do not drink water with your meals, but take it half an hour before or a couple of hours afterwards so as not to impair the digestive processes by diluting the digestive juices. One of the most powerful weapons against indigestion is the consideration of one's mental attitude while eating. Many people forget that the state of the body reflects the state of the mind and vice versa. So if food is eaten in a state of distress, anger or fear, it produces a toxic effect in the body and causes digestive troubles. And food improperly digested leads to chronic constipation and worse. It is far better not to eat if you are upset in any way, even though you might think that a good meal will make you feel better. Chances are it will not, and you will have a hefty attack of indigestion into the bargain. It would seem unnecessary to mention that to swallow food in large, hurried mouthfuls first thing in the morning is not taking a good solid breakfast but cruelly treating the poor digestive system. By all means eat a good breakfast if you can take a lot of food in the morning, which many people cannot, but do please eat it sitting down. If you bolt large quantities of food standing up with one eye on the clock, you will spend half the morning trying to relieve yourself of the resulting digestive upset, and so lose that much working time. It is far better to take a little food, even a cup of tea with an egg and toast, and chew it slowly and calmly. Enjoy what you are eating and never eat anything you dislike because you think it is good for you. If you do not want it, you do not need it. Unpleasant news should never be disclosed during or just before meals, as this upsets the digestion and indeed the entire organism. A calm, methodical attitude towards life and its problems, which you will gain through the study of yoga, will result in improved digestion and better health and temper. Cultivate repose. It is the beginning of all yoga, but it is not the body's and the mind's need alone. It is also the need of the world. Chapter 6. Backache and aching legs due to bad posture. Have we not often admired the graceful and dignified carriage of the average Indian man and woman, the courtish grace of their brown-limbed children? There is no magical secret to this natural grace, it is simply that in the East there are 2 natural sitting positions which are adopted from early childhood. One of these is cross-legged, whether in the so-called tailor fashion or with the soles upturned, in the classical lotus posture. The other is on the haunches with the feet flat on the floor. This squatting pose is described in the previous chapter. Americans complain that the cross-legged and squatting positions are unnatural, and so they are to those who are used to sitting on chairs. But in the East they are so accustomed to sitting like that they actually find it more comfortable than any other position. Years of sitting in these positions tends automatically to hold the spine in a naturally erect position, not rigidly straight as some people seem to think, but held with its natural curves in the right place. And so, in walking, the spine is also held naturally and gracefully, and this is the simple secret behind the superb carriage of the average Indian. I do not for one moment expect the average American who reads this book to acquire the habit of sitting down in the lotus pose or even in one of the easier cross-legged poses. These positions should be included in the daily schedule of yoga exercises and held for a limited time only, unless you wish to proceed to the more contemplative forms of yoga. The lotus posture, though graceful and serene in appearance, is difficult and painful for the beginner, and likewise the half lotus position I have demonstrated on the cover. However, there are 3 cross-legged poses which are not beyond the reach of the most supple among you, though I warn you that even quite young people in their early 20s sometimes have knees so stiff that they cannot sit cross-legged on the floor. I will describe these seated postures in turn, beginning with the lotus position, and you can try them for yourself. 1. Lotus position. The advantage of this position is that it forms a symmetrical and firm seat so that the yogis, in states of deep spiritual trance, did not overbalance. Sit down on the floor with your legs stretched out, feet together. Take the right foot in both hands and place it high up on the left thigh. The right knee should be pressed firmly to the floor. Take the left foot in both hands and draw it gently over the bent right leg so that the left foot is placed on the right thigh. I have demonstrated the correct position in figure 14, page 57. 2. Siddhasana, half lotus position. If you are unable to master the lotus position, this one is considered by many to be somewhat easier and at the same time more comfortable. Certainly it is preferred by many yogis to the full lotus pose. See figure 14. Sit down as before and place one foot with the heel against the perineum. The other foot is then placed on the opposite thigh with the heel pressed against the pubic bone. The hands should be placed as in the lotus pose, with the thumb and first fingers joined and the palms upwards. 3. Easy pose. Sit down on the floor, tailor fashion, with the heel of one foot touching the perineum and the heel of the other underneath the opposite ankle. This is considerably easier than either the lotus or half lotus positions. If you are very stiff and find all three of these positions agonizing, then please do not pursue the matter. I do not want you to suffer unnecessary pain, but if you think you possibly could master one or all of them, then do try for the sake of your posture. The last of the seated postures I will describe in this chapter is as follows. Samasana, or symmetrical pose. Sit down on the floor and bend the right leg, placing the heel against the pubic bone and resting against the left thigh. Bend the left leg and place the foot over the right one so that the heel is set against the pubic bone and the toes are pushed between the right thigh and calf. People who cannot master the other three seated postures I have described are often able to sit down in Samasana without difficulty or discomfort. Sec figure 13. All three positions will hold the spine in a naturally erect position and so promote better posture. The effective functioning of the entire organism is closely linked to the healthy condition of the spinal column and cord. As your body grows older, there is a tendency for the vertebrae to become rigid, especially after a lifetime of abuse in the form of bad sitting, walking or standing. If the body is habitually held in postures which involve slouching, the spinal column tends to get out of alignment. In discussing this problem of backache, we must face the fact that much of it is due to bad posture. Cure the one and the other disappears, and automatically there is an improvement in the general health and well-being. I must warn you before one go any farther that a few days practice of the asana I will describe in this chapter will not eliminate the effects of years of bad posture. If you would cure your backache, your round shoulders, and your rather ungraceful carriage, you will have to work at it. You must keep a wary eye open at all times to see if you are slouching. People who work at typewriters are among the worst offenders here. Do sit with the base of your spine firmly against the back of your chair so that the back of it supports the lower back. Sit erect at all times and soon it will become a healthy habit. The following simple exercise will help to limber up the spine and prepare it for more difficult postures. It is easy and bracing and is a vital first blow in our battle against bad posture. Similar to the rocking exercise described in chapter 4. Try this when you get out of bed in the morning. The half somersault. Sit down cross-legged and grasp your toes with your arms outside your knees. Bend forward and try to touch the floor with your forehead. No. Well, bend forward as far as you can. Still holding your toes, straighten your back and at the same time inhale deeply through the nose. Hold your breath for a moment and then bend forward again while exhaling, and when your lungs are empty, roll backwards, keeping your chin pressed firmly down into your chest in the chin lock I have mentioned before. Roll forwards once more while inhaling until your spine is straight. Hold this position while you complete your inhalation. While exhaling through your mouth, bend forward once more to the starting position. And that is all. Very easy this one, but 2 points to remember. The whole exercise should be performed slowly and rhythmically, with nasal inhalations and oral exhalations. It is best performed with the eyes closed, which is very calming to the mind and nerves. The benefits are many, but principally the half somersault brings into play the muscles of the back, toning and stretching the whole of the spinal column. The YOGAMUDRA exercise I described in the previous chapter is also beneficial to people with backache and bad posture. Many of the yoga exercises are based on the natural stretching of healthy animals which the ancient yogis, who formulated the science of Hatha Yoga, observed and emulated. Therefore, many yoga asana are named after mammals, birds, sea creatures, insects, and reptiles. In this chapter we meet the swan and the camel. The swan posture Svanasana, as its name indicates, it is a graceful exercise and will, therefore, especially appeal to women readers, although its benefits also to male sufferers from backache can hardly be overestimated. Like many other yoga asana, the swan posture consists of two opposite movements which I have demonstrated in figures 15 and 16, page 61. Lie face downwards, feet together, palms flat on the floor at the level of your armpits. Keep your elbows well off the floor. While inhaling deeply through the nose and pressing downwards on the floor with your palms, slowly raise your head, shoulders and abdomen off the floor until your elbows are straight. Figure 16. Remain in this position for as long as you comfortably can while holding your breath. While exhaling and keeping your palms firmly on the floor without moving them, slowly raise your abdomen, bend your knees, and sink into the kneeling position I have demonstrated in figure 15. Keep your forehead on the floor, your thighs pressed against your abdomen, and your buttocks on your heels. Remain thus while holding your breath. When the impulse to inhale again appears, do so and at the same time raise your buttocks off your heels, straighten your knees and, still without moving your palms, return to the starting position as in figure 16. Repeat this to and from movement up to 6 times and do be careful to perform your breathing correctly. And that is the swan exercise. Graceful and beneficial, it massages and helps to reduce the abdomen in the kneeling movement, and the other movement helps relieve backache and improves the posture. The to and from movement combats constipation and promotes the peristaltic movement of the bowel. The camel posture Ustrasana. This is another yoga exercise which involves a backward bend. I warn you before you attempt this exercise that it is not as easy as it looks, and great care must be taken while coming out of this position. As in all yoga asana, you must take your time and move without jerking, and in particular this applies to movements involving the spinal column. The camel is simple enough. Figure 17 Camel posture. Figure 18 Bow posture. 62. Backache and aching legs 63. Kneel down and sit back on your heels with your toes outstretched. Place your hands on the floor, palms down, just behind your toes. Your fingers should be pointing away from your body. Lean on your hands, throw back your head, and while inhaling very slowly lift your buttocks off your knees until your spine is fully arched. I have demonstrated the correct camel posture in figure 17, page 62. Remain in this position for as long as you comfortably can while holding your breath, then very slowly and carefully lower your body until you have returned to the starting position. It is during this part of the exercise that you have to take the greatest care, as there is great strain on the back of the neck, and if you jerk back to the starting position you could get a nasty crick in your neck. So please go carefully and you will greatly benefit from this valuable posture. It tones and strengthens the muscles of the spine and gives it greater elasticity. It will also correct any displacements in the vertebrae and will strengthen the neck and shoulders. A word of warning. The camel posture should not be attempted by anyone suffering from hernia or serious abdominal disorders. In writing this chapter on backache and bad posture, I have not forgotten the many people who suffer from sacroiliac troubles. Here is a yoga exercise which will bring relief from this tiring and distressing complaint. The centered spine bend. Stand up straight, feet together and your hands at your sides. Cross your left foot over your right with the toes of your left foot on the floor and the heel off. Your right kneecap should lie behind the back of the left knee. Resist the temptation to move your body to the left, as it is important that your spine should remain centered, and do not try to straighten your knee. Inhale deeply through the nose and while exhaling bend forward, very slowly and carefully, until your fingertips touch the floor, or if you are very stiff, bring your fingertips as near to the floor as you can. Do not try to force your hands lower than they will comfortably go. With constant practice you will be able to reach the floor when you will obtain the maximum benefit from this exercise. Remain in the bending position for as long as you comfortably can without inhaling. When the impulse to inhale appears, do so and at the same time straighten up again. Repeat the centered spine bend 3 or 4 times. Then reverse legs and repeat thus 3 or 4 times. 2 points to note. Firstly, do not move your shoulders or your buttocks wide. If you perform this exercise very slowly and carefully and practice it faithfully at least 3 or 4 times a day, you will soon experience relief from your sacroiliac troubles. The next yoga asana in this chapter is the bow posture Dhanurasana, which is an intensification of another asana named the cobra, which you will meet in chapter 12. Dhanurasana is so named because it strongly resembles an archer's bow and is, you will agree, a very beautiful posture and incidentally is a powerful weapon in our war against backache, for the vertebrae are moved in such a way that the nerve ganglions receive a richer supply of blood. It also exerts a healthy pressure on the kidneys, thereby correcting any disorders in their function. Bow posture. Lie face downwards on the floor, hands along your sides and feet together. Inhale deeply and bend your legs, keeping them as close together as possible. Stretch your arms upwards and backwards and grasp your ankles. Pull your legs as high off the floor as you possibly can by fully arching your spine. Hold this position for as long as you comfortably can while holding your breath. When the impulse to exhale appears, do so and slowly return to the starting position. I have demonstrated the correct position in figure 18, and you can see why this posture is named the bow. At first you will be able to hold this posture for only a few seconds, but very gradually extend this period until you can hold it for a full minute. You may perform it up to 6 times a day, but no straining though. I foresee that many of you will have some little difficulty with this asana. Either you will not be able to keep your knees together, or worse, you may not be able to raise your legs off the floor at all. In this case, try this easier method. Pull one leg up at a time and you will soon find that your muscles will be stretched and limbered up and you will be able to bend your body into a perfect and beautiful bow. This is a wonderful exercise for the relief of backache, but as it is rather a strenuous posture, do please practice it carefully. The bow posture may be preceded by the stomach balance, which is the very simplest of the backward bending exercises for the relief of backache. Lie face downwards with your arms extended in front of you, palms downward. While inhaling deeply, slowly raise your arms and legs off the floor so that you are balancing on your abdomen. Bring your head up as high as you can. The higher you can raise your head and legs, the more effective is the stomach balance. Hold the position for as long as you can without exhaling, and then, as the impulse to exhale appears, slowly return to the starting position. Though a simple exercise, it needs care as all the backward bends tend to be somewhat strenuous. The stomach balance tones up the entire nervous system and stretches the muscles of the back and abdomen. The bow posture being one of the most beautiful of the yoga asana, it will appeal especially to women, and here is a variation which is also striking in its aesthetic appeal. It looks like the graceful swimming of some exotic fish, and on a more practical level, let me assure you that it is considerably easier than the full bow posture which I have just described. Variation of the bow posture. In this variation, half the body is kept straight and half bends backwards. Lie face downwards, bend the right knee and catch the toes of the foot with your right hand. Slowly pull the foot towards your head, bending only the muscles on the right side of the back. The left arm should be held outstretched and the left foot likewise. Seen from the side, this posture has all the grace of the lovely bow and something else all its own. And now here is another breathing exercise which will help to counteract bad posture, drooping and round shoulders, and curvature of the spine. It also improves flabby upper arms, and excessive flesh on the shoulders will slowly be squeezed away. It is called the arm swing breathing exercise. Sit back on your heels with your spine straight. Place your fingers together and then turn them palms upwards. Inhale deeply and at the same time bend forward until your chin is touching the floor, as in figure 12, page 49. Swing your arms upwards as high as you possibly can, trying again and again to swing them just a little higher. Hold this position for as long as you can without exhaling. When the impulse to exhale appears, do so as you straighten up again. Relax and repeat from 4 to 6 times, after which lie down for a few moments and take a few deep recovery breaths. If your knees are very stiff, or if for some other reason you are unable to sit on your heels, you may perform the arm swing breathing exercise standing up, in which case you lean forward from your waist as far as you can and bring your arms with the fingers interlaced as far forward as you can. The movement from the waist will help to remove fatty tissue in this area and help the spine towards a new suppleness. The warning not to jerk any movements is reiterated here, as you should not try to swing your arms over violently, as you may well injure a rigid muscle which would discourage you from ever attempting this valuable exercise again. Nothing is more painful than a muscle spasm. Practice this exercise every day and you will soon notice a marked improvement in your posture and a new feeling of freedom from backache and a new feeling of lightness, as your straightening spine allows your lungs to take in more oxygen. All parts of the body are interdependent. Cure your backache and your chest complaints are eased, your temper improved, and your looks enhanced. Do not underestimate the gravity of bad posture. It may not be an illness, but it has a well-deserved place in this book on yoga and health, because it can, ultimately, undermine the health of the entire organism by restricting breathing, and cause an unhealthy complexion due to too little oxygen reaching the blood cells. Attack your bad posture and its resulting backache like the enemies they are. Many people suffer from bad posture and an ungraceful carriage because of weak legs, ankles, or feet. The remainder of this chapter is devoted to the consideration of these particular conditions, and I will explain how they can be greatly helped by yoga's methods. It has often been said that a man's temper is only as good as his feet. If the feet ache and burn, how is it possible to be smiling and at ease? If your legs hurt or are swollen with varicose veins, how easy it is to snap at everyone and feel that the world is a terrible place. In this book on health, I must always be on guard against anything which can disrupt the dawning calmness of the mind, which my readers must experience if they have been faithfully putting into practice all I have written about so far. In practicing relaxation, you will have discovered a new peace with yourself. In practicing the breathing exercises, you will feel a new glow of vitality. And if you have practiced the asana, your health will have begun to improve beyond your wildest hopes, and with it you will have discovered a new lease of life within yourself, a zest for living, a new inner power. So we cannot let tired, swollen and aching feet hold up the new feeling of health and freedom opening out before you. We cannot let them undo all your good work. So start by putting them up higher than your head whenever possible. It isn't done in the so-called best of circles to put your feet on the mantelpiece. Never mind about that. Yoga doesn't know any class barriers. Go on, put them up, it will do them good. And before going out in the evening, nothing could be more restful than lying on the floor in your bedroom and putting your feet up on the bed. Remain like that for a few moments with your eyes closed and you are a new man or woman. The change is remarkable. You are refreshed and alive, and your legs and feet no longer feel like lead. The following breathing exercise added to your daily asana will help to strengthen weak ankles, improve flabby calves, and soothe painful or fallen arches. The arched foot breathing exercise. Stand erect with your hands on your hips. While inhaling slowly and deeply, hook your left foot round the back of your right foot with the toes pressing against the ankle of your right foot. At the same time, rise up on the toes of your right foot and remain balanced in this position while you complete your inhalation, and hold your breath for as long as you can. When the impulse to exhale appears, do so, and at the same time slowly lower your right heel to the floor and unhook your left foot. Both heels should reach the floor at the same time. Repeat this exercise with the legs reversed. The arched foot breathing exercise taxes your sense of balance, but as in all such exercises, it can be used as a valuable exercise in concentration. You will wobble about at first, but gradually you will be able to remain balanced on the toes of one foot with your hands on your hips, and remain so for as long as your breath allows you. The practice of this exercise will not only improve your balance but fine down calves and ankles that may be a little too heavy for your liking. Any exercise which tones and stretches the leg muscles and the sciatic nerve will bring relief from aching legs, and so do not omit from your daily practice schedule the exercises described in the following chapter on lumbago and sciatica. And if you suffer from that most distressing and common complaint, varicose veins, nothing could be more helpful than the habitual practice of the shoulder stand, which I described in chapter 4. Also, do not omit the simple leg stretching exercise described in chapter 2. Remember the basic principle regarding the relief of aching legs and feet. Put them up higher than your head, for in this position your legs are not subject to the downward pull of gravity and are therefore being rested. As you lie there with your feet higher than your head, try to calm your mind and still your thoughts, so that this period of rest becomes a powerful exercise in mind control and mental stillness. As a general rule, people who study and practice yoga do not worry over much about their looks. In fact, they have a natural beauty of face and figure which comes from pure living and mental serenity. But if you suffer from bad feet and aching legs, as your condition gives way under yoga's gentle persuasion, you will find that your looks will improve in a surprising way. Those wrinkles of pain, tiredness and discomfort are soon ironed away from your brow and around your eyes, and your general well-being cannot but be affected by the improvement of your means of getting about from place to place. It is a constant source of concern to me that so many people neglect their legs and feet yet spend dollars and valuable time on their hair and their clothes. If you want all to be well with your world, get to work now on those bad feet of yours and remember the old and wise saying, a man's temper is only as good as his feet. Chapter 7. Lumbago and Sciatica. In the previous chapter I discussed backache and aching legs due to bad posture and long hours of standing. The antidote was based on limbering up the spine and keeping it supple, bending it this way and that to relieve tired muscles, and putting the feet up above the head to combat the pull and downward drag of gravity. The antidote in this chapter is based on toning up the sciatic nerve and the muscles of the lower back to relieve the pain of sciatica and lumbago.